The perimenopause muscle problem, you are losing it way faster than we even think. So, the last few episodes, we've really been painting this perimenopause picture. We've been understanding that we get this fat distribution happening where the fat from our hips, other areas of our body are all moving towards that middle. Insulin resistance is making your body way less efficient at burning fuel. And then you have cortisol just amplifying everything when it's dysregulated. So now we're going to add another piece of this that's tying everything together, and that is your muscle mass. Because underneath every single conversation about fat loss in perimenopause, there is this muscle story that's happening in the background. Most of the time, women don't even know about it until they're well into the loss. Your body composition can be shifting significantly without the scale moving at all. And this is so frustrating because you've got these DEXA imaging studies, which is the gold standard for measuring body composition, how much fat, how much muscle you have in your body, and it shows a measurable decline in lean mass during perimenopause. And that is happening independently of your weight changing. We saw the same thing happen with fat redistribution. Same number on the scale, but your body is completely different. You might notice that in your clothes fitting differently. You might just notice it in pictures or how you feel naked. Now, the SWAN study, which has given us the most reliable data on women's bodies throughout this transition, show that the rate of lean muscle mass decline accelerates during late perimenopause and early postmenopause. Not this gradual linear process, and it's not just aging, it's a very specific window of accelerated loss tied directly to the hormonal transition. So the women who feel like something has shifted suddenly in their 40s, they're not wrong. Something did shift. The scale might look the same, clothes fit differently, you feel like your body is changing, you feel a little bit fluffier, maybe pictures aren't looking the same as they used to. So why is this happening? Estrogen is not just a reproductive hormone. We've already established that the last 3 episodes. And skeletal muscle, it's full of estrogen receptors, which means your muscle tissue is directly responsive to estrogen and directly affected by its decline or fluctuations. So estrogen actually supports muscle protein synthesis, the process of building and maintaining muscle tissue. And that's going to activate these satellite cells, which are repair cells, responsible for fixing muscle after stress, after exercise. And it's also helping support mitochondrial function. So it's the energy producing capacity of each muscle cell. It also has anti-inflammatory effects that protect the muscle from low-grade inflammation that perimenopause loves to bring with it. So when we have estrogen declining or fluctuating, all that support is reduced. Muscle protein breakdown increases, repair slows, mitochondria are less efficient. The signal, the instruction to build and maintain muscle mass, it's quieting. And there's also this emerging area of research pointing to rising FSH levels, which are happening in perimenopause, as another potential contributor to muscle loss in late perimenopause, independent of even estrogen. This signal from the brain to the ovaries matter way more to muscle maintenance than we previously understood. Now, some of this, especially FSH, is new territory, but it's worth knowing about because it's not just about size. Now, here's the finding I really want you to sit with because it changes how you really want to think about training and your muscle mass. Strength declines faster than muscle mass. So you can look at 2 women with similar muscle sizes on a scan, and one of them has significantly less strength and power. So this is the muscle quality that's being lost instead of just muscle quantity. Muscle becomes less dense, it gets infiltrated with fat, neuromuscular efficiency declines, the signaling between your nervous system and your muscles becomes less precise. So what this means practically is that the earliest signs of muscle change in perimenopause are not even visible. They show up as function. You go and pick up the groceries, they feel a little bit heavier. Maybe it's your kids, they feel a little bit heavier. Doing things in the gardening feel a little bit more taxing. Trying to work out that used to feel manageable suddenly wipes you out. The weights that you were lifting 6 months ago feel so much heavier now. So this is what we're actually feeling because the muscle quality has changed, even if nothing even looks different in the mirror. This is the first step that something might be changing. Now, some research shows that even basal rates of muscle protein synthesis are actually higher in postmenopausal women than a younger woman. What this means is the body is working harder, less efficiently just to maintain the same amount of tissue. So it's compensating. And because of this hormonal environment, it's less conducive to muscle building. So the same protein intake and the same training stimulus you've been doing in your 20s and 30s are producing less results than they used to. So we call this anabolic resistance, and explains why so many women in perimenopause can feel like, hey, I've been doing everything that I used to do. I'm eating enough protein. I'm training consistently. I'm not seeing results. My workouts are feeling harder. Now I'm feeling a little bit softer. The input to output ratio has changed. The system is now requiring more to get the same results. Now, this goes way beyond just how well your arms look. Muscle is metabolically active tissue. Every pound that you have of it is burning energy at rest. As lean muscle mass declines, resting metabolic rate declines with it, which means the same food that has maintained your weight for decades now tips the balance. Not because your metabolism is broken, not because you suddenly started eating worse, because that tissue was doing a significant portion of that metabolic work has now reduced. So muscle is your primary site of glucose disposal. So when you eat carbs, muscle tissue is where the majority of that glucose is meant to go. When we have less muscle, means less capacity to clear the glucose efficiently, which feeds back into that insulin resistance picture that we just talked about in the previous episode. Muscle is also very protective. And so when we have this muscle loss in perimenopause, we could potentially be moving towards sarcopenia, which is a clinical condition associated with way worse metabolic, cardiovascular, functional outcomes, especially as we start aging. So the intervention window is right now in perimenopause because it has the highest reversibility. This is the moment that matters. So we know now why it's happening. What should we do about it? And here's what the evidence is telling us. Resistance training is the intervention. Cardio, yes, can be great. Walking is great, but it's not going to help with this. You want to do progressive resistance training, lifting heavy and challenging your muscles with loads that actually require the recruitment of these fibers that are becoming more metabolically quiet. The nervous system in perimenopause requires a higher stimulus to recruit those muscle fibers than it did before. So if you're doing the standard moderate weight training, it might not be enough. The workout classes that you're doing, 20s, 30s, might not be enough now. The research is pointing towards heavier, more challenging loads as necessary to preserve that power and that strength, not just the mass, because we're losing that function before we actually lose the size. So what does this mean to you? You want to train these muscle groups to failure. It doesn't mean only doing a few reps. It means you might have a heavier weight and you're doing 12 to 30 reps of that and taking the muscle to failure where you actually cannot do that bicep curl anymore. Where when you're doing squats, you're actually seeing the quads slow down because they can't handle and they can't do a few more reps. I think so often we just lift weights just to lift them and we're going for a load that's way lighter than what's going to be challenging our muscles. So you want to take these reps to failure, which means when you're doing the rep, you're slowing down. You might not be able to complete it. You've got that decrease in velocity. And I'm paying attention way more to this than I am of just getting through 8 to 12 reps. I'm actually paying attention to what that muscle is doing and is it fatiguing enough so that I know that I'm building the strength there. Next, we have protein intake. It needs to go up because of the anabolic resistance. The efficiency of protein utilization declines. You always want to aim for 20 to 30 grams of high quality protein per meal. That's the target, not necessarily because it's a magic number, but the research consistently shows that this is that threshold to stimulate muscle protein synthesis in this phase. Most women are eating way less than this, so I always tell women to eat the protein first. Recovery is also part of the training because satellite cell activity is declining and our repair capacity is reduced. So the recovery between sessions matters more than it ever did. More is not better in perimenopause. It's doing the right things at the right time, being really effective with our workouts, making sure we're training and taking that muscle mass to failure so we're actually growing. Doesn't mean working out harder. It doesn't even mean working out more, just being more efficient with those workouts. Training hard without adequate recovery doesn't build muscle. It just adds to the inflammatory load. And we've already talked about we're already inflamed in perimenopause, so we don't need to add more fuel to that fire. Muscle loss in perimenopause, very real, and it accelerates a lot during this very specific window of the transition, but it's not inevitable. It's really responsive to the right interventions. It just might mean changing our workout routines, changing how we're eating so that we are driving muscle mass and not letting it decline. Because in perimenopause, muscle mass is not just having big muscles, it's a metabolic, hormonal, and long-term strategy for, yes, fat loss, but also for your energy, your mood, how your body copes through this transition. If this is resonating, you want to build a plan that's actually designed for where your body is right now, I will leave a link to book a consult call in the show notes. We'll see if our protocol is a good fit for you. We have a high percentage of women that are, I would say majority of the women that we're working with are in perimenopause, going through this transition and so frustrated that their body is not responding the way that it should be responding or used to be responding. So I'd love to see if we can help you. Click the link, book a complimentary call, and yeah, let's see what's going on and how we can fix it.